The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Monday morning. Jack, how are you feeling? How was your weekend?
It was decent. How was yours?
It was pretty good. After Friday, I did very little. After we went out Saturday, I had my pillow class, and I actually went to massage therapist and found out my leg wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It just hurt a lot, which that was fine-ish. And then yesterday I just did a bit of work, laundry, the usual adulting things.
I had brunch.
Hey, where did you go to brunch?
Back down to the same place you were on Friday.
Hey, sounds like a plan. So as y'all can see, Jack and I had somewhat eventful weekends, somewhat chill weekends, but all in all, we are definitely ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you share this episode with someone in your circle. Today, we're going to be talking about that list that had the entire Bermuda in their feelings. That is our feel good topic of the day. And if you didn't get a chance to see the list, if you want to talk more about the list, make sure you stick around so you can participate in that conversation. And if you want to laugh to get your morning started, make sure you stick around for our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jackie. Now, to get you warmed up for today's show, we do want to talk about the Land Grab Commission report that came out. There is a 500-page report inquiry into the historic land losses that took place in Bermuda, and one of the findings was that Bermudians should get reparations. So we want to know, do you think Bermudians deserve reparations? That 500-page report is all-encompassing. It definitely included a bunch of other different recommendations, but we wanted to stick with this one because off of the back of Barbados being a full sovereign nation, there's a lot of conversation around independence again on the island. So let's start with this one. Should we get reparations? And I guess we should frame it Black Bermudians, because there is...
That's what I was about to ask you. I'm like,
the distinction.
Bitch Bermudians.
You should probably distinguish it by saying Black Bermudians. So do you think Black Bermudians should get reparations? Yes, I'm asking you, Jack, because we've got to wait for the audience to respond, sis.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, my obvious answer is yes.
But like, why? Like, explain your yes.
I mean, why wouldn't we? We've going through this. We talk about reparations for Americans and people in other countries, and then we forget that we've been through stuff as well. Just because it wasn't as what's the word? Written down as graphic as people in other countries. We kind of make it. When we hear about these stories of what's happened in the past, a lot of it sounds very watered down. So you're just like, oh, it's not as bad as what's happened to other people in other nations and other countries, but it's still bad. And I think everybody should still get some type of reparation. I think the amount of families I've been through. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my opinion, I guess.
I think what's interesting from the report is it's about land, right? And so we have heard conversations from time that property ownership is probably one of the, if not the best way to transfer wealth through a family unit, generations from generations. If the family keeps the land, 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to have a really I wouldn't say you don't have to have like, whatever your wealth definition is, like Elon Musk type of wealth, but you could live a pretty sustainable life if you do earn the property that you live in, or the property that you stay at, or you have other people stay at. And so I think one of the, I guess, reasons why the report came to be was around like, land loss. And I think if nothing else, that should be the start of the conversation. Like, where are these properties that were stolen from us? And like, can we get a black tax? Like, if y'all are going to keep the land, then that should be a form of reparations by sending the tax that y'all are paying for those lands, or additional tax, because they got money.
I know a lot of people that are not going to be happy because the land's going to be taken away from them, and
it wasn't yours to have in the first place. It wasn't.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm giggling at, because it's gonna be people our age that's gonna get their land and their houses and their property taken from them, and it's gonna be given back. But your ancestors either manipulated or stole it away from people that were trusting you. Like, I have to read I haven't read the report in its entirety, obviously. 500 pages in a weekend, as busy as mine, doesn't always work out. But I don't know. I just know it's gonna cause a divide.
I mean, and to your
that
point,
we already have.
To your point, it's like there were a lot of interesting tactics, we'll call them that, that were taken in order to get the land in the first place. So if you, as an ancestor, someone who grabbed this land from people that earned it and you didn't earn it first, you should probably be a little bit more, it's going to be a shock to your system, but you should probably be a little bit more understanding, because you didn't go about it the right way. I mean, it definitely sucks, because the sins of the parent should not be the sins of the child. So
I grew up hearing how like lawyers would get you to sign papers, and next thing you know, you're getting kicked off your property, or that property is no longer yours. And I just want to know, like, does that fall into the same thing? Because I'm smiling, because if that's the case, if all this stuff falls in, I mean, I know a lot of relatives that are going to be like, thank you.
I mean,
take it.
And because the conversation around reparations is not new, it's not old, it's going to be probably talked about until a group feels vindicated and justified in whatever they get back. So it's one of those conversations, like, is it enough? Like, even just one small piece of the report, like, is the reparations enough? What else can be a part of the conversation? So if you're just joining us, Jacky and I are talking about the 500-page report that came out of the Land Grab Commission. It is a lengthy report. It has more recommendations than just reparations, but we wanted to kind of touch on reparations first, because it is one of the easier ones for us to kind of connect to, because it is a conversation that, when we talk about slavery or the enslavement of Black Africans, we definitely know that reparations is the easiest for us to kind of connect the dots, and then the bigger conversation comes out of that. And so Jacky and I definitely believe that Black Bermudians should get reparations. I do think it's not just land. I do think there's other things that kind of come into that, because the wealth gap over centuries is ginormous at this point. It's a gap that even the most strong-willed, disciplined millennial is going to need some help with it. Like, it's more than just, give back land. So we have a comment from Janae. She says, well, of course, it's upsetting to know what could have been done. We were robbed and we deserve what we are owed. Simple. And I think it kind of comes to your point too, Jack, when we talk about this, that might feel a way about losing their land. It's like,
I care, but I don't. I don't, because you're also part of the problem, because there's no way you can sit at the table and your parents or your grandparents aren't going to somehow slip up and tell you what they did in the past to get you the riches that you have. Like, I don't know. I've sat down in rooms where people don't notice me. You know that little trick, seen but not heard, and then sometimes they forget that you're in the room. I've sat in a lot of rooms quiet and heard people brag about how they know the ins and outs of, and how they can work these systems so they can get. And so, do I feel sorry for them? the more I think about it, the more I giggle, the more I do. Because like you lot didn't care about us, and then you're gonna sit there and tell me that you don't know what your parents or your grandparents or your great-great-grandfather did to get the wealth and the amount of land that they have. Something's gotta give. And there's a lot of properties that are just sitting out there going derelict, and for what? You're bringing on not just the value of the neighborhood, but the value of the island as well. So if you're not going to do nothing with it, give it back to the people that it actually belongs to.
I totally agree. And I definitely think that even when you're talking about those buildings that are probably in need of a little love, I mean, if they're not going to do anything with it, then by all means transfer that ownership to a group that can or wants to do something with it, because it's the first time they've had something like this in their asset group, and let us have a go.
Especially when I think it's you that sent me the article where it was saying that there are 50 plus, I'm not sure if it was people or families that are homeless, but I've also talked with some people that are with Habitat for Humanity in Bermuda, and they're telling me how they have a building that's opening up and how they can feel that 10 to 15 times over. And then we have this conversation, and you actually if you walk the island, drive the island, you're going to pass at least 5 houses that need love. And it's just like, do something.
Yeah. And so there's a lot that we could discuss with this particular report. We're actually going to do our best to read through it and pick out some more topics for us to talk about in a future episode, because it's not just a 500-page report and that's it. Like, there actually have to be action behind this report. So now that the report is out there, it's definitely going to be on the generation that can do something, aka millennials, to kind of take this on if it's something that they're passionate about. If it's not something you're passionate about, don't just join just because everyone else is doing it. Like, find something in the conversation that resonates with you so that you can be a part of it. So on that note, Jacky and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our Feel Good topic of the day. If you missed it over the weekend, if Friday you were too busy working and you didn't see all of the hoopla on Bermudian Twitter and Bermudian Instagram, make sure you stick around, because Jacky and I will be right back to talk more about that.
Looking for that fine dining experience? Then Aliana's is the place for you. And it's lobster season in Bermuda. So ladies, get your girls together for a ladies' night out. Book a table of 4, and each of you will get a 10% discount on your half or whole lobster main course. Starters not included. This lobster special is on until Saturday, December 18th, serving dinner from 6 p.m. Thursday through Sundays. And of course, we have all your favorites, complemented with our specialty drinks and wine list, followed by our scrumptious homemade desserts. Aliana's Fine Dining Restaurant, 106 Southside St. David's. Phone 777-0555 for reservations. For those special occasions, there's Aliana's.
Welcome back to this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. If you're just joining us, we are getting ready to talk about our Feel Good topic of the day, which is the list that had Bermudians in their feelings. So if you're just tuning in, make sure you share this episode with someone in your circle. And if you don't know what list we're talking about, so Conan Daily, which is a travel blog website, put out a list of the top 10 most handsome Bermudian men alive. And the list was lackluster, to say the least. And Bermuda Twitter and Instagram had a field day, and they basically tore the list to shreds. And Jacky and I wanted to discuss that one with you, but we wanted to kind of just start the conversation by asking y'all, what criteria should be considered when we talk about best looking Bermudians? Because if you saw the comments on Instagram, Bermudians had it on their Instagram, and they also posted it on Twitter. And if you saw the comments on Instagram, there was, to me, mixed ideas of what would be the best looking person. And so I kind of Jack and I wanted to have this conversation to kind of figure out, because Jack and I did Jack was in her feelings on Friday, I tell you that, about this list. So she was very concerned because she didn't understand the criteria. So let's start talking about the criteria. What criteria should be considered when you're talking about the best looking Bermudian? Like, what is that? What does that look like?
Attractive.
Okay, so that's number one.
Well, that's rude. That is so rude. Because they're not rude. They're not unattractive. It's just there are more attractive people that are more attractive than the people that made the list. So I was trying to figure out like what was the criteria. Was it like the Gerber baby photo competition, the baby competition that you used to put in, and you would send in your picture, whatever it is, and then people would vote. And I just want to know who voted on this and where do they live, because I don't understand how some people didn't make the list. I'm going to say his name. I don't understand how Thomas Lightbourne didn't make the list. Like,
so we're starting with
there's actually a bunch of people. Like, I was just sitting there, I'm like, we've missed so many people and I don't understand. I don't even know these people. I know, actually I do. I know Lakeith House, obviously, and I can't remember Williams' last name, but I just...
What, Clemmings?
Thank you. The football player, yes. That's just like, it's something with a C.
The only reason I knew is because I that's the only other person I knew on the list. Everyone else, I knew Darius as well.
Right.
But so,
and I feel like it should have been like maybe sorry, go.
No, you're fine, because I wanted to, because it's related to what you're talking about. So Sherry says, I need to know what their criteria was. And it's really interesting because they did have a blurb before the list, right? And so you would assume that the blurb would kind of give you, okay, here's how we picked the people. Here's like some of the things that we kind of voted against, because we like, anybody that owns a website can do whatever the heck they want on their website. They can put up what they want and they can make their best of whatever list the way they want to. But most times when you do a best list, you do give some context as to how you pick your people. So I did wanted to just kind of set that stage for you, Jack, because I feel like that's where you're going with it. It's like, couldn't figure it out.
Because this is a public platform, right? So everybody in the world has access to it. And that is just not the best representation of the beauty that Bermuda has grown from its soil.
And speaking of the beauty that Bermuda has grown from its soil, Jason Shirley says he is the best criteria, period, point blank. Like, that's it. And I think it's the confidence too. I feel like I don't know everyone on that list, so I can't speak to who they are personally. However, there is a level of confidence that I didn't really see in that list, because if I'm on a best something list, trust me, you're going to know I'm on that list. Like, I'm going to let people know that I'm on this list, even if I didn't submit myself, even if I
maybe there's better pictures of them. Like, you know how you're just like, oh wait, hold on, let me find a good picture of this person I want to date. This one. And they just didn't pick the right ones, maybe.
And so speaking of that, so Janae says, well, they clearly pick Bermudians that are on the international stage. And so let's talk about that, right? Because I feel like there are still other Bermudian men and women.
Dante Loverock and Kamal, like, they're on the international.
Right. And then even speaking of another guest we had on the show, Dakari Love, which he is a really gorgeous, handsome, beautiful, whatever term you want to use to describe Dakari. He is very good looking. And so to not see him on it, and sure, he's not on the international stage the way most people would kind of define international. It's still one of those moments where it's like, there are plenty of me. You could just, like, where did you search on the internet? Was it only Instagram?
And here's my other thing. Maybe I missed it because I was so perplexed about what was happening, because I kept going back to read what was happening. Like, vain, shallow, whatever. What are their heights? What are their occupation? What's their their date of birth, their sign? Like, I want, like, you know how you
date these men.
I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. No, I just feel like that should be a part of it, like age, date of birth, favorite color, like, a little blurb about them versus like, oh, go to their Instagram and search. Like,
help me help you. But I mean, so coming back to the question of, what would be some of the criteria, Sherry says good looking and successful. So even to your point, Jack, around like, although I was kidding, I was joking about it. Like, birthday, their career, like some little fun facts about them, because it makes the list something to do. Like, it makes it something to do, because like you've seen like the People's List when they do like their top 50 or whatever, best looking men, best looking women, they do, I mean, they don't give you like their full life story, but they'll give you like, their age, their hometown, some fun fact about them that you might not know or that they didn't include in the last one. So I get your point, and like to Sherry's point, like give us something, give us some more information about these people.
So, and of course, I follow places like the Shade Room, Black Bearded Man, and all this stuff. So obviously I see people from all over the world, and these media outlets, they do they will do it. So you'll have the carousel.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the one where you have the multiple? So they would say like, all right, so man of the month, and it'll be like say 7 to 10 of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they will post the picture and they'll say so and so, he is 5'7", Gemini, 2 kids, this, that, and the other. Like they give you the whole rundown, and then they have a link where you can actually, they tag them so you can go to the page and view more, but they give you the initial blurb of information that either entices you or turns you off. And I don't know, I just wasn't excited about it. And I'm sitting at the salon, all of these salon talking, and I'm sitting there and it pops up and I'm like, am I the only person that's seeing this list? So nobody else is talking about it? We're going to pretend it didn't happen? All right, cool, because this doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not knocking the guys. Like, they're not unattractive. It's just, like I said, my list they wouldn't have made my list.
So speaking of that, so we have a question from the audience. Sean Smith says, I did not see the article, but did Bermudian women make suggestions? So for this initial article, no, it's by a blog website, something or other, Conan Daily. They are they're in the travel industry, it looks like. And so they wrote a post about Bermuda. And so what's really even more disjointing about this whole list is that the blurb about the list, air quotes, was only about Bermuda. So it talked about our history. It talked about, the fact that we're a self-governing nation. Talked about our beaches. And then it went on to say, literally one line, here are the top 10 most attractive men in Bermuda alive, blah, blah, blah. And then it went to the list. and so like even the headline, it's like most handsome alive. So now it's like, okay, so you've obviously taken out those that have passed on, which is fine because, we do get it. That's usually what these lists are. And then as Sherry asks, where was the voting poll? There wasn't. So that's even more problematic. And so let us know in the comments, like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think a website should be able to kind of say, a website that's not from your country, say who the best looking persons are from your country without a voting poll? And so
I feel like it's lazy.
It's
lazy. Like you just typed in Bermuda, hashtag Bermuda man or hashtag Bermuda, and it was just like, all right, so these 10 men are right at the top. Let's just plug them in there. They look decent. Let's not, put them against each other. Let's just throw them all in there.
Throw them all in there. So we have a correction. So Janae says they actually said they had a list last year. That's even more problematic. She didn't look at it, but she wonders how it compares. Now I'm going to look at that, and we're probably going to talk about it tomorrow because I have questions that need answers. Because if you had a list last year,
why wasn't that?
How did we not know?
Link? No, but why didn't have the link attached to this one so people could refer back to it? I feel like they're lying because they're lazy. I'm still so salty. And like I'm going to keep saying it. I don't think these men are unattractive. They're just not my list. I mean, the Key could stay.
Yeah, Wells could definitely stay. I feel like if we're talking most attractive or handsome Bermudian man alive, and we have a criteria that says, okay, you are,
And is it like were they only going for Black Bermudian man? Because how did Jeff Barron also not make the list?
Listen, the whole of Twitter was definitely very concerned that Jeff Barron didn't make this list. And like, I get it, but I didn't get it. So I was just like, I mean, if that's you guys, that's your cup of tea, put them on the list. All right, cool. But I definitely was really interested. It was really interesting to see how many people were advocating for their best looking Bermudian man, because there were definitely stan girls and guys saying like, hey, where is so and so? Like, why isn't so and so on this list? And it definitely went to the left real quickly. So I want to come to this comment from Jason Shirley. He says it's on the same lines as Bermuda's Best, who you know or knows you. I think
that's why it should have been a submission.
I somewhat agree with this because Bermuda's Best does have a voting component now, and the people that are selected to be their judges, I do get that point. So I'm like, I get where you're going with that one, only because I do know that there's a selection committee that has to like, pick their favorites kind of vibe. But then they do have a voting option now, which I think is more what this type of list makes more sense to be. Like, vote for your favorite person or the most attractive person and pick better pictures. Like, hold on. If we're going on Instagram, one thing we know about Instagram is the place for your best photos. If you're going to put your photos up, it's probably going to be one of your best looking shots. You mean to tell me of all these guys' Instagram posts, these are the pictures that you found? And for Nikki, they didn't even put a picture. They used a YouTube link for 2 people, actually, or 3. It was a good bit of people where they didn't even like. So I can't even tell how attractive this person is because I gotta click a YouTube video, which is an interview of them after a football match.
Lazy.
I get your point.
I
definitely get your point with that. We have a comment from Shoshana Williams. She says they had a list for the last few years and do the same number of jurisdictions. I don't understand.
They do the same for a number of jurisdictions.
Oh, a number of jurisdictions. Yes. Okay. So they've had this. So who are these people? I'm going to find this actual list. So Shoshana, if you've seen the list before, can you confirm or deny if the last year's list for Bermuda was as problematic as this year's? Because I feel like it's probably just as bad. Like, I feel like there's probably the fact that they've done it multiple times only means that they've failed at this multiple years in advance. And now that we've been inside for 2 years, we're finding all of this type of stuff.
I need to ask these guys. I'm gonna find one of these. I'm gonna have to DM one of these guys. Unfortunately, it was just I feel sorry for him. I'm saying like unfortunately because I feel like I feel sorry for him because they're getting slammed. They're probably not even gonna answer my DM. Like I'm like that girl. What does she want? I want to know if they knew or if they found out the same time as us. Because if they found out the same time as us, I'd also be upset because I'll be like, this is the picture you chose. I'm gonna have to go through all the pictures and be like, why didn't you choose this one? This is a better one.
Of all the pictures. And so we have this comment from Sean Smith. He says, I just saw the list and I asked how many dark and stormies did they have them making this list? To be honest, they probably didn't even have the best dark and stormies because the best dark and stormy would have you knowing clearly your list is not, when you did your number 10, you should have already known that your list wasn't going in the way that you needed it to go. Like it was already off kilter and you didn't give us a criteria. So like you've opened yourself up to the criticism that comes when we don't even know how you picked your 10.
And I was looking at number 10, number 10 has a yellow, and I was just like, they didn't even pick a picture that were giving his light skin eyes, like no smolder. Like
you're not even giving us options.
Give us the sexiest of these men, like the sexiest picture of these men. Like
that's the whole point of these lists, right? Which is even more problematic for the persons that picked it. It's like you didn't understand the assignment. The assignment is very clear when you say most handsome Bermudian men alive. It's very clear what you're supposed to be presenting to us, and you didn't even understand that assignment. So clearly,
they didn't sell it well.
You did not sell these gentlemen.
Their marketing team and their sales team needs to be fired.
Clearly. And so Shoshana says, talking about the previous list that they've had, it was more of the same, which again, it just reminds us how problematic it is for those of us that are not in the space to think that just because you can type the word Bermudian man in a Google search doesn't necessarily mean you have the authority to kind of say who is the most attractive on our island or what product we're putting out there in the world, because clearly you don't understand what's going on.
It's like bringing somebody to Bermuda and taking them to like Chopsticks to get a fish sandwich.
Exactly.
Like, that's not the best fish sandwich.
First of all, Chopsticks is in a different lane. They are doing Asian
Thank
food,
you.
Chinese food. So to ask them to make a Bermudian fish sandwich is basically asking for you're setting them up for failure. And whoever did that is terrible. Get your point. It's like the tour guide, it's fine. The tour guide just never again. I want to bring this comment from Janae Jack.
Well, clearly it wasn't by a Bermudian, and I can only guess the skin. You know what? Never. I'm not going there. Never mind.
But to your point, even still, because I mean, there was a lot of people on social media saying that Jack Barron should have been on this list, and I don't know all of the attractive white men on the island, but I'm pretty sure there are a number of other men, not only white men, black men, other ethnicities. Like, there's way more people that Bermuda has to offer, even on the international stage. So even
this still bothers me. I'm sorry, because
even if the criteria was they have to no longer be on the island of Bermuda, something like that, that's something that seems to have come into this conversation. You still got way more people to choose from.
I need to explain my frustration a little bit more. So there's different websites, and they'll be like, all right, so they have the meme. Where are you going to go to vacation? This is your Jamaican pick for, like, Stella got her groove back. So, like, there's single women out there that are just like, I am fed up with these American men. I'm going to go to a different country and find a man. Let me see who has the best looking men. They're going to come across this article, and they're not going to bring the tourist money to Bermuda because they're going to be like, nah, like, And like, no, we have beautiful men and women. Like, literally, it's like going to, ever seen Rush Hour 2, where they go to the Chinese little the massage buffet, and they could choose all the women, and they were all beautiful. Like, you need to come to Bermuda, and literally the person that greets you to help you in your wheelchair or whatever at the airport, beautiful. The person that's going to swab your nose, beautiful. The person that's going to say, have a great day, and this is your exit, beautiful. Do you have anything to declare? Beautiful. And they chose, let me stop being rude.
We're not being rude, and we're not attacking these gentlemen, of course.
No.
We're attacking the validity of this list, because this list just did not do what it was supposed to do. It didn't give what it was supposed to give.
Bermudian man justice.
Not one of them. And they had every right to be in their feelings on Friday and all weekend. So if they stepped out this weekend, I promise you they came with their best, because they was like, oh, this list missed me. Watch.
You should have seen Yes with me, St. Regis on Friday. I was walking through, I'm like, whew, even when you're bold, like even the bold guys, beautiful. Have a bird, don't have a bird, beautiful. I don't know. They
definitely came out on
that
Friday
just also didn't show the confidence and sex appeal that Bermudian man exude,
which is basically a natural thing for Bermudian men. Like, it's just like, it's their birthright. I don't understand it, but they got it. So I want to bring I want to bring this comment in from Janae. She says, I'm guessing they did find out the same time, and we're talking about the gentlemen that were on this list, because if they knew before, they should have been able to get a certain picture and maybe a quote or comment from them. Exactly. Like, make the people that are in the article do have to work for you, one, but then also, if these are your 10, whatever your criteria is, allow these guys to put their best foot forward. Like, say, this is the picture that I want in the article. Here's some fun facts about me. Ask them like 3 questions. And just all they have to do is type back. They didn't even have to like do a full interview. Just like send them 3 questions. I mean, I don't know if you can get in the key, but if you would have done it early in advance, probably could have got your responses, and it would have been, and people would have shared it more. Now they're getting so much page views from people trying to see who are these 10.
I just feel like if they made a list, I wouldn't make the list, but if they made a list of women and I was to make the list, I'd be like, hold on, give me 3 weeks. I'm gonna lose some weight so I can have a whole photo shoot, because if you're gonna put me out in the world, I'm putting my best foot forward times 10. Like, this is on an international stage.
And
Michael B. Jordan might see this and be like, who is that? And I don't want him to be like, oh my God, who is that? We're never going to be
he
able to
might
be like,
leave
oh,
Lori for
wow.
you. He might leave Lori for you. You never know. So it's
All
got
that
to
money
be.
and connect, he ain't leaving her.
I don't know.
Whatever prayers, her daddy.
Whatever prayers these lot are saying, I definitely need to say it as well, because clearly, like Jackie said, the list needs to have shown their best selves. And even if their best selves needed, as Jackie mentioned, a couple of days, a couple of weeks to get themselves together, do that new photo shoot because their pictures are low dated, they should have had the opportunity to do that. Because and so we're picking apart this article, but even for the guys that were on this list, like even for them, like I wouldn't want to be put out there like that with this random picture from like somebody's sports website, or this random picture from my Instagram in like 2018 when I didn't have my glow up all together. Like, no, like I even feel for these gentlemen, like it's absolutely sad for them too. I want to come to this comment before we take our commercial break. Jason Shirley says, my dogs would have gotten more votes than me, to be honest. Well, thank you for your honesty, Jace, because you know, Cheryl,
my dogs too, and I ain't got none. Never.
That's actually funny. I love it. And so earlier when we were talking about chopsticks being the place to send persons for fish sandwiches, Janae says, wait, chopsticks has fish, but that's exactly it. Like it's definitely it's definitely an outsider trying to put forth what is the best of Bermuda, and you know, they didn't hit. And then so this one final comment from Sean Smith. He says, we have a good-looking brother over the age of 50. Women are loving my silver. Okay, see, we even got people in the audience. So like everyone had a fair opportunity to be on this list. And apparently it hasn't been confirmed, or maybe it has been confirmed, but we have seen some reports online that Bermudians might be doing a little something in 2022 around this list, because Bermudians were in their feelings, and you know, Bermudians, there's one thing they'll do, they'll bring you the funny and they'll bring you the facts. So
they should have put scientists on the list. That would have been
So look forward for that list, because I'm not messing with Jackie this morning. Look forward for that list if it comes out, and if there are submissions, if there's voting, make sure you become a part of that conversation, because you know, we've had a good time deconstructing that list, but we're definitely going to make sure that we're a part of the conversation when the list does come out. And so on that note, Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jackie. So if you already haven't laughed about our conversation around this list, make sure you stick around, because Jackie's got some more corny jokes for you to enjoy.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us today, we talked about the 500-page report that came out from the Land Grab Commission. There are 500 pages, and Jackie and I only got to discuss one part of that report today. If you're interested in having that conversation in a future episode, let us know in the comments, and Jackie and I will bring more insights from that report to you. And for our feel good topic of the day, we talked about that list that had Bermudians, including Jackie and I, in our feelings over the weekend. But now it's time for our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jackie. This is the first time you're watching us. Jackie has the corniest jokes that I'm going to try to guess the answer to. And if all else fails, we'll all get a laugh together. We'll all do our air workout for the day. So Jackie, over to you. She's already laughing, so it's already funny. It's already funny.
What did Mariah Carey say to her boyfriend when he bought her an undeveloped undeveloped patch of land for Christmas?
I don't know.
I don't want a lot for Christmas. I'm sorry, it's so bad, but it's so funny. A lot, like
I absolutely get it. I absolutely get it.
But that is the song. I don't want. Sorry. Okay, I'm running out of one. How did the hacker get away from the police?
The hacker got away from the police by locking himself. I don't know, locking himself up.
He ran some.
That is corny as heck, and Jason agrees. That is hilariously corny. Oh
my god. Okay, last one.
I'm ready. I'm gonna get this one.
It's more like it's not one you can really get.
A statement? Oh gosh, okay.
No. A wife calls her husband cheap and he replies, "I'm not buying it."
Okay, sis. He probably said that with the straight face too. He probably was like, "I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it." See, cheap.
Straight his face. As always, Jacky and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the Day has you ready to make it a great one. And thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda. We trust we will see you tomorrow for another Feel Good conversation. Until then, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.